Hello guys, here's my new FPV airplane made out of Dollar Tree foam board. Actually it's the second aircraft I've built with this Ed's Techniques from Experimental Airlines. The arm and wing and tube fuselage, but basically what I wanted to do was build a predominantly FPV airplane specifically for carrying the GoPro. And I also mounted the motor in the front because I wanted it to be fairly quiet. So what I've taken is 3 tubes. The bottom one is 44 inches long, and it's been extended with the same techniques that Ed uses for instance, his photon. And then 2 sections of tubes on top of that in order to have clearance for my I forget what that is. 10.6 prop. Actually, it's a 10.5 prop. Pulsar 1000 kV motor, and I'm going to run this on one single 3300 milliamp 4S pack. Complete FPV, no OSD on this one. I wanted it simple as I could make it. And a big tail. I have let me get some measurements here. That's actually the horizontal stabilizer is the arm and wing airfoil. One single layer or thickness of foam board in there to give it the thickness. I figured I'd give it a flying stab and see how that works out. Of course, it's been built with Colorado state flag colors, yellow, red, and blue with some white. And no landing gear. I just put skids on it just to keep the foam board off of the gravel and dirt, basically where I fly. Those foam bumpers are made out of EPP with Gorilla Tape. That stuff is very good, very strong and tough. And I've used it in the past on other models, and it's worked real well. Very durable. Alright, here's some measurements here. The tail itself, or the horizontal, has a about 8.5 inch cord. Looks like 17 inch width. The rudder itself is 9 inches tall, and the widest section about 10 inches, almost 10 inches. The control surface is 4 inches at the bottom and 2 1/4 or so at the top for the movable rudder. Right here I have a antenna mounted for my LRS. I'm running the Thomas long range system with an 8-channel receiver, and in this case I have a custom, these come with just a single dipole antenna, but I have a custom built antenna, basically like what comes off the long range receivers, so that I have an active element as well as a ground element, and I've got the ground element right down here coming across the horizontal stabilizer. The wing tips and the tips for the horizontal stabilizer are just simple design, kind of an oblong rectangular type shape with rounded corners with Coroplast, heavy duty plastic Coroplast cardboard, and it makes for great wing tips because I figure with no landing gear, as I land it's going to tip over to one side, and that way I don't scrape up the foam board too bad, hopefully. 4 servos, 4 servos, Emax, metal gear, 17-gram servos. I can't remember exactly what they are without looking at the box, but I've bought these servos for several small airplane applications. They're about $8 a piece, but I feel, you know, maybe twice what a Tower Pro is, or one of those 9-gram servos. But these are strong servos. They have great torque, 23 ounces, somewhere in that neighborhood. Metal gears, and they're small, light. They provide the power that's necessary. Of course, gift card control arms I've used for all the surfaces. Full length ailerons. The wingspan itself is 56 inches, and I made that in 2 separate 30-inch pieces. Actually, I cut those down 28 on each side. 2 inches, I guess, is what I cut off of each one. I just didn't quite want the 30-inch wing. I want it to be fairly maneuverable, and I built this wing very strong. What I used for my spar, has one spar in it, is basically one of those square pieces of carbon fiber tubing that you get out of a stick airplane. I forget what they call those darn things, but it's square, and it has no flex to it whatsoever, but it doesn't quite run to the wing tips. I think it was somewhere in the neighborhood of like 35 or 36 inches long from an old airplane I had laying around. I just disassembled it and used that. This antenna right here that you see, that's a V antenna for the 1280 video, and that is connected to a 1280 video transmitter, 300 milliwatts on that, and of course hot glue and colored duct tape for the fuselage stack there. Now, when I built that and put it together, it was fairly wobbly. I thought you know, 3 or 2 sections tall, it was too wobbly. So what I did, you can look down through there. I'll show you a view from the front here in a minute. I made 2 crosses in there with foam board, Gorilla glued them in place, and very, very rigid. It made a huge difference on how wobbly it is. But up in there on the top, I've got a 45 amp ESC with the BEC disabled, because down here I have a Castle Creations 20 amp UBEC. There's the Thomas 8-channel standard receiver. Carbon fiber tubes in there for the wing mounts. And of course rubber bands, all Ed's building techniques, which I think are just excellent. Very strong, very clean. And what I've done here on the wing halves, I wanted this 2-piece, but I didn't like the way it was kind of flopping around when I had the wing mounted. The wing halves were not as sturdy and stable as I wished that they were. So what I did was I glued them together with hot glue, just butt glued the joints together. And then I had some 10 millimeter, or not 10 millimeter, some 10 mil laminate laying around, like for laminating licenses, driver's licenses, and that type of thing. And that stuff is extremely durable, but it makes for a great section there for the wing mount rubber bands to hold it down, and it keeps from crushing the foam. There's the 1100 kV pulsar motor. Bought that used off of RC Groups, and I haven't done anything but bench ran it, but it seems like it's going to do pretty good. Let's see, what was that thing doing? It was about 35, 40 amps, and 465 watts, I believe, is what it was pulling with that 10.5 prop. This thing is going to be a rocket ship, although it's not built for speed, but I'm hoping that it's going to be pretty proficient. There's the cross pieces I put in to stabilize the front and give it some more strength and rigidity. And of course the airflow is still going to be able to go through there and cool down the components that are located in the body section there. I have a Fat Shark 922 5-volt video camera on front. They work very well, excellent. Ian uses these pretty much exclusively, and I tried the camera and I thought it was wonderful. It's a great picture. Stock 3.6 lens, I believe, is what I have in there. And then that little device right there is a 5-volt regulator that kicks my video power down for the camera, because I'm running 14.4 volt 4-cell pack inside. I don't know if I can get this on the video or not. Maybe a little bit there. I have tapped off of the main power lines with a 12-volt regulator. It's adjustable. You adjust it to where you want it. I've got it set at 12 volts. And then it goes through an LC filter, and then that comes up to the front through the 5-volt regulator to power the camera. And of course the transmitter is 12 volts. So it's kind of a complicated wire setup, but once you figure out how to do it, it works very well, very reliable, and that way I can run one single cell pack that runs everything on the airplane. The powers the motor as well as all of the camera equipment. Now the GoPro, that's my GoPro one on the front there. And I just kind of sunk it in there, cut the front to make it kind of look cool, sunk it down in there. So it's easy to install and remove, turn on and turn off, and you know, it doesn't look too bad, I guess. Just a GoPro stuck in the end of a square tube, but it's blocking almost all of the airflow from going through the fuselage, and that 12-volt regulator puts out a little bit of heat. So I put a vent on each side of the nose, just a 1-inch square vent basically, pried it open, cut it at an angle right here so that the airflow can come in, and just hot glued the door open. I've done this also before on previous builds, and it's worked out pretty good. That way I don't have to try to hunt up a spoon. I didn't have any laying around. However, I think the spoon probably has a little bit cleaner look to it. There's a top view of the camera and the vents. So that should keep the regulator cool enough. The GoPro mount, just a gift card, double-side sticky tape with that super duper strong red double-sided tape, foam tape, and then a small Velcro strap. And this GoPro actually has the layer lens mounted on the front to keep rocks and whatnot from destroying the lens of the camera itself. I can replace the case lens should it be necessary. Alright, and one single magnet in here to hold it shut with a washer on the lid. Fairly simple, straightforward. Everybody does that. And then again, gift card mount for the battery. One 3300 milliamp 4-cell pack will fit in here just perfectly, and the balance came out wonderful. I have not flown it yet, of course, but the balance is right where I want it, which is 2 1/4 inches from the leading edge. Right there is the microphone for the video. Alright, what else? Let's see. Oh, the wing dimensions. 56 inches long, and the chord is 9.5. That includes the ailerons. So 9.5 on the chord and 2-inch ailerons, full length, with the exception of the cutout for the fuselage and the rubber band setup there. I think that worked out to 533 square inches of wing, which is quite a bit. The airplane, complete with battery, all FPV gear, GoPro, ready to fly, is 4 pounds. Almost exactly 4 pounds. Maybe a tenth of an ounce less. But that's not too bad, especially with the amount of wing area that it has. I'm not expecting it to be real fast. I don't want it to be real fast, but it should climb like crazy. I'm thinking that with 10.5 prop, 465 watts on 4 pounds, it's going to definitely haul itself around pretty nice. So one servo for the elevator, one servo for the rudder, gift card mount. Again, it's wonderful techniques to help stabilize the rudder, and I tried to put them as close to the control surfaces as I could so that I had very short push rods. Just a Z-bend on one side and some little connectors that I had laying around. This one I actually ran out of connectors, so it has both Z-bends on both sides, which is a little bit difficult to do if you have to make any adjustments. I got lucky on this one. It came out perfect the first time. No trim or anything. Servo centered, and so is the control surface. I did the fancy, I don't remember what Ed called it, but the fold over method. Cut out part of the foam, hot glue it, fold it over, and then throw some tape on the other side for the clean look, as well as he mentions in some of his build videos. This is directly in the blast, the propeller prop blast, and of course I'm not too concerned about the elevator. It's very rigid, or the horizontal stabilizer, because it is actually a built-up design. Much stronger than just a flat piece of foam board. Is it necessary? Probably not, but I think it looks cool. So that's half the battle, right? Having it look cool. And then as we turn it over, you can see my elevator servo mount in the back, completely red on the bottom of the wing and horizontal, and then of course my 3 bumpers on the bottom. We'll see how that works out. I actually contemplated putting fixed gear on this, make it a tail dragger, but like I said, most of the places that I fly is just not conducive to landing gear, extra weight, extra complexity. However, it's not that I don't want to have landing gear. I wish that I had the place to be able to do that. But anyway, that's how I built this one. And I can always put gear on it later if I feel I need to. So here's a look in the back. A 6-inch diagonal cut on that. Basically just like Ed does on his. I thought it looks great, so why change it? And the X in the back to kind of add some strength to the tail. And it's strong. It has very little flex in it. And I was amazed how much difference it made just by putting that X in there. I cut it. I measure from one corner to the next. Cut 2 pieces. Cut halfway through each one so they'll slip together, and then I just brush a light coat of Gorilla Glue on all the contact points. Squeeze it together, push it in there. A couple shots of mists of water on it. And in 30 minutes that thing is rock solid. So that's going to be one of my routine building techniques. I think it seems to work really well. And it won't block the airflow, but it gives the strength that you really need back there, at least for this particular aircraft. I figured 4 pounds. I thought it was going to be a little bit heavier than that, but I was pleasantly surprised that it came in at 4 with all the gear, the 4S and everything else. So let's see, I used a piece of plywood to make my antenna mount, just hot glued it to the side of the fuselage. I wanted to kind of get the antenna up and away from the battery area. So at different angles, hopefully my video signal doesn't get blocked, but I've really never had any problems with that. People talk about it, but from one aircraft to the next, I mean, I suppose you'll have a certain angle that you'll have a void, but I just really haven't noticed any problems. And those IB Crazy home-built V antennas are just awesome. I haven't seen any need to go with anything different. It does everything I need it to do. I can roll and loop and I still have great video. And I've had one of those V antennas out almost 15 miles. Not on this aircraft, of course, but there's a good look at the underside. 2 aileron servos, one for each half, of course, and the gift card control arm. What else? I think that's pretty much it. Let me pull the wing off and show you what I've done here for the for keeping the wing from sliding as you have it mounted. Hold up just a second, I know the videos. Alright. So I just put a hole in there to run my servos wires through. They come down into this top bay, and then I have leads coming up from the receiver. Just some, I don't know, I think they're 4 or 5 inch extensions. Plug them in, nice and easy, real easy to access. For the hole, I just took a piece of, I think that was probably 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch brass tubing, sharpened the tip, and it's great for making holes to access wires through or to pass wires through. So for sliding on the wing, rubber bands, it's that simple. 2 rubber bands on the mounting posts first, then the wing, and then the rubber bands that hold your wing down. And they just, you know, rubber. It works really good, nice and rubbery. Keeps the wing from sliding around when you're up there. Now, if you ran into something with the wing, of course, it would give enough to where you're still going to have that protection from breakage. I mean, the wing will move. Just going to take some force to do it, other than flying forces. So there it is. What to call it? I don't know. I call it the 56-inch FPV airplane. We'll see. We'll see how it flies. I'm hoping for decent enough weather here in the next day or so. It's supposed to be rainy and cold tomorrow. Probably won't get it done then, but maybe on Sunday, and try to get some flight video for you. Anyway, that's what I've been working on. I think it came out really well. I'm very thankful for Ed and showing us these techniques. I've implemented the majority of his techniques, very few of my own. I can build, but I just can't dream up ways to do it. So with people like Ed out there to inspire me and help me out, I think I've got a pretty nice airplane. Should be fun. I'll get some video, hopefully, of it flying here in the next day or so and post that up for you. But this will be my contest entry for Ed's Pride plane with Colorado colors, Colorado state flag colors, of course, because I live in Colorado, and hope you enjoy.